So what does this mean? This is what we call our innovation network, and this is what we call as the birth of our Spark programs. So as you can see in our networks, we have MICs, which are Microsoft Innovation Centers, and that's actually where we partner with governments worldwide. And we will work jointly with them to develop and produce technologies that enable that local economy. We're working with incubators and accelerators, hosters, financiers. You know, we have relationships with a lot of the sort of venture capitalists, and a lot of my role is getting to know them and introducing them to our Microsoft ecosystem. Universities, we work a fair amount with university incubators, government agencies, and, you know, legal system or advisors. And really what this Spark program is about, DreamSpark is for students. So it's about actually providing free software to students with a .edu or a registered university, and providing them with that software. But then it's about being with them as they join BizSpark. And BizSpark is the program that I run, and it's actually about allowing free software and support and services through this entire ecosystem to enable that company to succeed. And in a couple of slides, I'll give you a couple of really great stories of this in action. And then Website Spark is actually about doing a similar thing with digital agencies of a small size. But ultimately, it's about seeding that ecosystem and innovation. And I actually received a wonderful email from an entrepreneur the other day where he said, you know, Bindi, I actually thought that BizSpark was just about free software, but it's actually so much more than that. I've met interesting venture capitalists through, you know, the networking. I do a fair number of networking and innovation type of events. Through that, they meet other entrepreneurs and other potential business partners. He's met journalists because the journalists like to, you know, scout around and get to know some of the really interesting, hot, up-and-coming companies. And it's through this network that we've created. And the reason, eventually what happens is these guys could become long-term partners. And I'm going to show you what that means for them. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Just a show of hands, do many of you know about the company Huddle? Have you heard about them? No? Okay. Wow. Well, you need to get to know them. They're a really cool company. So Huddle is basically an online collaboration tool. And, you know, they've continued to win awards worldwide. They've actually, you know, got relationships globally with various social networks like HP, LinkedIn, Ning, and Zing. And it allows enterprises to collaborate that have firewalls. And so government agencies in the United Kingdom will be able to collaborate, you know, share documents they weren't able to. It's all web-enabled, but it's plugged into your local estate. Now, the story with Huddle, it's great. Basically, I met them in March 2008. And they just received a round of venture capital financing. There were only about 4 or 5 people in Huddle. And they started to work with me. And some of the things that I did with them and engaged with them in this BizSpark program were simple. So number one, around technology. Huddle to make their application really sticky and to really be able to sell it to their end customers. We worked with them on integrating it into the Office and SharePoint platforms, which many of you may or may not use. But now you can click in a Word document and save to your Huddle workspace, which when you're collaborating with your business partners across firewalls, you know, we worked with them. So we took them into our labs. We paid for our architects to work with them and innovate because these guys were on the edge and they were willing to really integrate their stuff into our platform. And furthermore, they were really, you know, gaining a march in terms of users. Second way we helped them was around marketing and PR. So some of these awards, the Red Herring Award, Business Week Top 50, these publications come to us and they go, you know, this was in this case, they went to our Silicon Valley team because the heart of the team I sit on is based in the Valley. And they said, can you recommend some great companies for these lists? And we were actually able to say, yes, we know some great companies. And we're there constantly helping with marketing and PR. You know, even simple things like doing a case study with us or, you know, getting them spots at events. So for Huddle, a good story is, I don't know how many of you attend Le Web, which is one of the biggest web conferences in Europe, based in Paris every year. Huddle has this networking event in London called Drink Tank, and it isn't what it says on the box. It actually is a very high-end event of CEOs to get together and talk about their business problems because they're so lonely when they're building their own businesses. So what we did is we financed the Drink Tank at Loeb, and, you know, bar none, it was actually seen as one of the best networking events at Loeb, and a lot of really fantastic connections were made that night. Other things that we've done with Huddle, partnership. So, for example, they signed a deal with HP to have their application on 25 million laptops worldwide. Now, that deal, imagine this. You're HP in Silicon Valley, and you're dealing with this small startup of 6 people based in London Bridge in London. Now, who are you going to call? So, very simply, Huddle asked me, Bindi, can you help? What I did is I actually briefed our vice president who's on the ground in the valley, and he was able to put in one phone call to HP and say something as simple as, I hear you're talking to Huddle. They're great. What can we do to help you? And the HP vice president said, it's okay. We know you know them. And that deal was closed. And that was the beginning of Huddle's, you know, incredible growth to where they are today. At the same time, you know, they've just closed a $10 million venture capital round in Boston. And again, we were able to provide a reference. So put it this way, when I started with them, there were maybe 4 or 5 people. They're now at 60 and growing. They've just recently set up their offices in Silicon Valley. They're very good friends with our Silicon Valley team. And, you know, we were able to make a positive impact in the background by helping these guys. And we continue to hope that, you know, over time, they will become a very, very significant partner. There's one more case study, but I am going to skip that because in the interests of time. But just to give you an idea of how that works, yeah? So let's put this in context, this whole BizSpark program. Worldwide, we have 30,000 startups and counting. How we go to market is through these things that we call network partners. Network partners are those organizations that we spelled out before, so the university incubators, incubators, venture capitalists. We've got 2,000 of those kind of strategic partners worldwide, 100 Microsoft Innovation Centers based around the world, and 700,000 partners. So what we're doing, and the reason this is the most important, is 95% of our revenue is based on what these partners bring to market through us. So what we're doing as a part of this program is we're bringing through the next generation of partners, and we're guiding these guys, into this ecosystem. And it's a very, very beneficial ecosystem, and it's about innovating together. There's just an example of some of the brands that you may or may not have heard of. Zobni, I don't know if any of you have ever used them. There's a fair number of European startups here. Wayne, you may or may not have heard of. And other ones, I'm thinking of Yammer, which is basically it's kind of like a Twitter, but in internal cases. So we can all Twitter internally, but not have it go public. Because, we've all had that happen once in a while where a product leak happens because of a tweet, and it's not so good, is it? So this partner network, I think this is the important thing. So 700,000 channel partners. And why do we talk about that? What does that mean? Well, let's talk about the ecosystem. This ratio that's about to come up. For every $1 that we make at Microsoft, our partners make 8. So by starting with them at a very, very young age, working with them till they become an established partner, and they're actually selling alongside us, and, driving that innovation and growing their companies and creating the next generation, these guys make $8. It's a pretty impressive statistic. So it's actually, we are nothing without them, and they are able to grow their businesses through working with us. Sorry, this clicker's a bit. So I guess in conclusion, this is sort of our mission, is to help people realize their full potential. And I hope I've shown you one or two sort of case studies of how we've helped businesses do that and why we think it's very, very important to innovate alongside smaller companies. So thank you very much.